What's going on? Morning stream. All right, so I've been real busy lately, but let me go ahead and show you what's happening here. All right, this is starting a business from scratch. So I got that Camry right there. Got the Camry and the Acras. So we got that. Got the Acras. And so this car is going on hire car. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm also getting ready to conduct an experiment. Um, I picked up these four cars yesterday. I got two Range Rovers, the BMW, and other Range Rover, and this Porsche Cayenne. I picked up all of those. All right, so that's what's going on with now. The white Acura has been rented. It's gone. So let's have a little chat. All right. So here we go. All right. So this is what's getting ready to happen. I'm gonna rent these cars on hire car. Now, I'm about to tell you some stuff that no one else on YouTube talks about. Um, Essentially, hire car is hot, but hire car has some issues because I have literally after putting a car on hire car, I got a booking request within 20 minutes. However, hire car is going through some stuff because when I go down to accept the booking, it won't take their payment. And then essentially, you got to call hire car to push your payment through. I don't know how that's going to work. So let me go ahead and tell you the experiment. Um, I started with this. Like I went ahead and I put these cars on Turo. They did nothing. People on Turo are looking for BMWs, Range Rovers, Porsches. That's what they're looking for. So I'm gonna put those four cars on um, Toro, and then we're going to see how that happens. Also, this is something else. To put in a GPS kill switch is $400 to $600 per car, and it takes 4 hours because what they have to do is wire this device into the ignition system, and they have to wire it into the battery. I've not seen anybody who's talking about renting on Turo, and I've never seen anyone talked about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in stages because essentially there aren't that many people who do that. And my first appointment is next Thursday at 11 a.m. So essentially, I'm just going to get like the little GPS thing. And I think a lot of people who are on Turo don't really use GPS. I don't know. I don't know. But essentially, I'm getting ready to move my target date to August, and I'm gonna talk it all. I'm gonna tell you exactly why I'm doing that. Because essentially, I was buying cars. Like I bought 8 cars this week, and essentially, what has happened? This Camry here, this Camry, I kind of got. The Camry, the engine's fine, but the Camry had been in a wreck, and I did not know that until after I had gave up the money. So I'm going to rent it out. I'm going to sell it, because essentially what I'm going to do in June and July is conduct experiments, because I don't know what's going on with Hire Car. I really don't know what's going on with Hire Car. It's kind of crazy. And I figured out a way to get on Turo, and I'm going to work on that this weekend. This is long for everyone who's in the corporate toolbox, the art of holding. The classes will resume next Monday, because I've kind of worked out a schedule, because I'm not going to buy any more cars. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm telling myself that. But essentially, I am going to put these on the platforms and start getting data. So essentially, what my plan is, I'm going to rent the cars out, and as they come back, I'm going to set appointments and just put a tracker on. There'll be a tracker on the BMW. There'll be a tracker on the Range Rovers, and there'll be a tracker on the Porsche. And these, because essentially, let me go ahead and tell you my exit plan. If this doesn't work, I can just sell the cars. And let me tell you about selling the cars. One of the biggest issues that I'm having is trying to buy cars at a good price. So right now, let me tell you what's happening with the used car market. I can hold on to these cars for a month and sell them for more than what I paid for them. So essentially, what I'm going to do with the Camry, I'm going to try to rent it out, see what happens with it. Because it's kind of got a little vibration in the front, but it's not a biggie. It drives fine, except when you're on the highway speeding. So what I can do, because essentially I have a presumption. This is what I think is going to happen. I feel that, because based upon Toro has a calculator, these 4 cars can make $6,000 a month. Those 4. And if that proves to be the case, what I'm going to do is sell these, and then because these cars were 14 to 20,000 each. So I'm going to come out of this stuff and then get more into the high end stuff, because if I had eight cars like that, right, I could do 10,000 a month based upon, because essentially until we get them on the platform, until we start renting them, we really don't know. But because the used car market is so crazy right now, that literally I could sell these cars for a little bit for more than I paid for them a month from now, because this is what's happened. When the new cars eased up their production, and all the rental cars dumped their cars, this created a glut. So let's go ahead and talk about the economy. What's going on with housing is artificially induced. This is not true market force factors playing, because they're not foreclosing. They're not foreclosing. And the repo man got canceled. So you have people who are getting government stimulus. You have people who are not working. You have people who are living in a house that they haven't paid rent on. They're driving the car they haven't made payments on, and they're getting government money. So this has created a really, really strange economy that I feel is going to go on for the rest of the year. I feel that this is going to go on for the rest of the year. And essentially, Madman Media, what I'm doing is doing tests. I'm going to run a test with these bad boys next week. Go back to the front of the stream and you'll see what I got. Essentially, I'm testing out the hire car business model. I've got 4 cars on hire car, and I'm going to test out Turo with these 4 cars. And I'm going to see which one does the best. And which one ever does the best, that's the one that I'm going to go hard with, because like hire car, the folks want the cars. But for some reason, there's something weird going on with the hire car platform that people can find the cars and they try to rent them and they can't rent them. It's something. So right now we're going to run experiments for 2 months, because I had this vision in my head of starting this business hot and heavy, buying cars, putting them on the platforms. And I kind of, like, I did see some YouTube videos that were talking about they put their car on hire car and it disappeared, right? That part is true. But the thing is, hire car has some issues with the payment plans. And that is a big, big issue, because when I go down and hit accept, it says issue with the renter's payment plan. Man, I'm telling you, this economy is strange. My girl went up to, now this is something else too. My girl went up to visit her grandmother in Pennsylvania. Is still pretty much locked down. You can't eat inside, no eating in indoor restaurants. She had to visit her grandmother through a glass window. It's crazy. Hire car is very, very understaffed in customer service. Yeah, they were calling me like 10 o'clock last night, and I was just like, no, she can't rent this car and come pick it up tonight. And this is something else too. This is why I'm going to start conducting experiments, because my first rental, she rented it and then she picked it up at 10 o'clock. And now one of the things that I'm putting on hire car is you can only pick up this car Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Because what will happen is someone will go try to rent a car at 8:30 at night, and then they want to come pick it up. So this is a crazy, crazy economy, man. But here's the fun thing. People are making money. People are making money. I have a feeling, because, my first thesis was to rent these out. And I've been doing a lot of research. I've been looking at what car dealers who've been selling cars, what they're buying. They're not buying this. They're buying these. There's a place up in Marietta called Malone Autos. All he has is BMW, Range Rover, Mercedes, Porsche. He doesn't have any of these kind of cars. And also, I'm going to take some time, because I will probably end up buying some more cars in these next 2 months. But I got to do my due diligence, because I went ahead and I got that Camry and I checked the Kelley Blue Book. So I could sell that for more than what I paid for it, right? And also, update on my dealer's license. There's a guy who leases offices in Marietta, Gwinnett County, All right, Lewis. All right. All right, man. That's what I like to see. So I'm probably going to be able to get my dealer's license. And this is another reason that I'm kind of slowing up on buying cars. And also, during these 2 months, I got to slow it down because I'm so used to starting internet businesses, right? Internet businesses, you just wake up with a concept, um, you just go, right? So these next 2 months, I'm going to be experimenting, and I'm bringing you updates on the experiments. I think this is real good for me because I've not started an off the internet like business like this in 12 years. I have not. And there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot that's going down with this. There's a whole bunch that is going on. And I think it's good for me. And also, you know, this is, did I spend, how much did I spend? 871. I spent like probably 120,000 on cars. Now, let's go ahead and say that 120,000 makes 5,000 a month. That's better than anything I would get from the bank, and that would be better than any investment I get. And that's really low because once I figure some stuff out, figure out some kinks, because right now there's a lot of kinks going on. There's a lot of issues going on. Because this weekend, like, here's the thing: you buy a car, right? You got to go through the car, and then you got to order stuff. Like the Camry doesn't have a jack, the Lexus doesn't have a jack. Um, just little things that you don't really think about when you buy a car, because typically the kind of cars I've been buying, I've had all that stuff in there. So I gotta take this weekend. Like I gotta get, like, the Porsche is good to go, and the silver Range Rover is good to go. The BMW is good to go. The black Range Rover, I got to get some floor mats. So I got a lot of stuff to figure out and a lot of stuff to do. And also, what I'm going to offer for these is free delivery. Um, so I'm going to do free delivery because that way I can kind of have some control. And I'm going to put in these cars would be delivered between 10 and 6. Um, just deliver the car and Uber back. Also, I got to make sure, like, I filled up the BMW with gas. I got to make sure all these bad boys are gassed up. And it's a lot. It is a lot. And I only have 8 cars. I only have 8 cars. So there's a certain sequence, there's a certain way that you got to do this. But like watching the videos, because I'm going to start doing Turo and hire car videos, and I'm going to, because like not one person that I watched the hire car video actually had this issue. And I can't say that they had the issue. I don't know if they had the issue, but I had the issue. So, I got the white Acuras out, and essentially, I'm not emotionally attached to this car. The Porsche, I'm a little emotionally attached to. The Porsche, I'm a little emotionally attached to. That's kind of crazy, but that's going on. This weekend, these cars are going on, and I'm going to do delivery to avoid the, like, I'll deliver to the airport. If someone's at the airport, I'll deliver to the airport, take Marta back, and we will see that. Also, with pickups and stuff like that, that's a little tricky. I could leave the car somewhere and get one of those electronic lock boxes where they can just come in, punch in the code, and pick up the car. I don't know. Like I said, I got a lot to figure out in these next 2 months. I have a whole bunch to figure out because once again, and this is something else too. People don't want what they can afford. They want what they want. And I've been seeing this with these cars because, like, this is my test set. Like, if this whole thing goes horrible, I could sell each one of these cars for more than what I paid for them. So that's kind of like my safety net because in a month, they're not going to get a whole bunch of miles. And, essentially, uh, Turo does have a commercial leasing program, but you got to have your own insurance. And that's something else I got to do. I got to figure out insurance. I got to figure out commercial insurance because there are rental car companies that have insurance and I don't know. I got to find out where I can get insurance, how to set that up. Once I figure some stuff out, I'm going to hire a person to help me with this business because I can end up with 10 more cars real easy. But I'm holding off on buying cars for now to put these cars on the platform, to get the GPSs, to get all this stuff set up because essentially what is happening with COVID is everybody's moving slow. And it's kind of crazy because let me tell you, I found a garage not too far, a parking garage, because I was a little suspect of like leaving my car in a Kroger parking lot or someplace, but in a parking garage where you're paying for it, they're not going to tow your car. And essentially, it's $24 if I lose the ticket. So if the car sits in there 3, 4, 5 days, I'm gonna lose the ticket and just pay that $24 because I've been struggling to find an office to rent. And the big thing with renting the office, and also this is something else. Next week, I gotta call this dude, and I should be able to have an office to start applying for my dealer's license and get that. Here's the thing: at this office complex, you cannot park your cars. You cannot park your cars. So what I gotta do is, I'm gonna get this place to get my dealer's license because that's gonna be a huge help with this. Huge, huge help with this. Get my dealer's license and then go to the auction to be able to buy cars. Now, this is something else. I got most of these cars from one guy, and I got it because he's conscientious. He put new tires on the cars. He had oil changes. He did certain things. And essentially, this weekend, next week, like I can rent out the BMW, the Range Rover. I gotta get some service done on one. I gotta get that checked out. And essentially my place that does the service ain't open on the weekends. They're open only Monday through Friday. So that's gonna be intriguing. But I gotta go ahead and get floor mats. One vehicle, I gotta get an oil change. And I gotta, essentially I only have 8 vehicles. Yeah. I got too many cars to park in an indoor storage unit. I got so many cars that I'm driving these cars because I can't pull my cars out of the garage. All right, all right. Because essentially, the first month of May is just going to be putting stuff out there, testing it, And also, a lot of people who are financing cars, I can see a lot of problems with that. Like if you finance this car and you throw it on Turo and it doesn't rent, because I got a plan. Like I'm gonna put these cars, because they rent for like between 100 and 140, these cars. And I'm gonna put them up for $99.99 just to get some reviews, just to get some action going, and leave it like that for a week or two, maybe. If I get someone who wants to take this BMW for $99 a month and keep it for a month, that's 3 G's. I will take that. I will take that. So we got to do all this other stuff, and this is what. All right, Fozzie Cooper. Because essentially, the way the Turo, I haven't figured out how the Hire Car app works. I haven't figured that out yet, because essentially I created an account and I went in to find my cars, and they popped up in Sandy Springs. They did not pop up in Atlanta. So that's interesting. All right. So one of the things is Turo, if you max it out, Toro will take 40% off the top. Is 40% up to 15%. I'm gonna take the 70% margin, where I get 70%, Toro gets 30%. Well, essentially, I'm having people find me on the Hire Car app, but it's weird. It's weird. And I know Toro works with pricing. I know pricing is a big point in yeah. If you pick, like, this is the way it is. With Toro, you have protection plans. And to get the best protection plan, Toro's going to take 40%. Okay? To get the next best protection plan, Toro's going to take 30%. And Hire Car works the same way. To get the best plan, they take 25%. I got a car up here for 50, and this is something else too. I see someone who has a lot of cars on Hire Car, and every time I log in, they're always available. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know. I'm not getting a lot until a year out, because there's so much I gotta learn. There is so much I gotta learn. So my goal is to get revenue going. I got the money to get these cars, put the cars on the platform, and get the revenue going, and then a year later get a lot. Because essentially, if I have the ability to buy a car, let's say I go to the auction and I get a $10,000 car. Now, first thing I got to do is make sure that this car is roadworthy. The lady who rented the Acura, she said there was a bunch of garbage on Hire Car, and she was really shocked at how nice the Acura was. So everyone on Hire Car isn't an Uber driver. It's not an Uber driver. So I got to start running ads, because essentially I'm going to start running ads on Craigslist. I'm going to teach my assistant how to do a lot of this stuff, because she's going to have certain duties each and every day. And then I'm going to, it's, for me, it is a challenge, because I haven't done this kind of person-to-person business, because I learned really quick, I got to have set pickup and delivery hours. I got to have set, because what will happen is I would get a bunch of last-minute Larrys. Someone will rent a car at 8:30. They want to pick it up at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, essentially, what will happen is my life will be completely disrupted. So we're going to have some business hours. And like I said, for these cars, I'm going to offer free delivery. Free delivery, like 30 miles, free delivery, because you get to charge a delivery charge for that. And a lot of people will want the car delivered because that means they don't have to go get it. And, so there's a lot of little perks, because this is where having a business and understanding customer service works. Because like what I will do is offer free delivery, take the car to them, and when they bring it back, I will take them back wherever they need to go. And I'm going to hire a person to do this at some point in the future. Because one of the things is, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm consistently running after stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got cars. And for the next 2 months, we're going to run experiments. We're going to put cars on the platforms. Because like I said, like when I put that car, I put the best Acura TL I have on Turo, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And I put it up for $45 a day. For that kind of car, that's really cheap. And I'm like, I don't know about that. So essentially, I'm getting to, well, with Turo, you get to add a lot of little fees. And I'm going to sit down this weekend. I got a date with my girlfriend tonight. Because I've been doing this all week and I need a little break. I'm going to need a little break. So today, when my assistant comes in, we're moving these cars to the garage because my neighbors have an issue with me having this many cars. So I have 10 cars, right? With my BMW and Porsche. I got 10 cars now. And it was just like, I don't understand it. It's crazy. Mike Dunmore, actually, that's true and that's not true. Because a lot of people who are buying these cars and financing them, they're not renting them that much. They're not making any money. And also, paying cash, because like, let's say I bought a brand new BMW. Let's say I bought a brand new one of those, an X5. That's going to be $50,000. That's going to be a payment of $800-900 per month. If the car only rents out for $1,000 a month, I've made no money. So one of the things I'm finding out, and like, this is money that was just sitting in the bank. So I'm really cool with this. And I have another chunk of money to buy some more cars, but I'm going to wait. You sure have a lot of cars, buddy. Just crazy stuff. But I'm moving the cars because I can't get to my cars because I got all these cars in the driveway. So I'm moving them to the garage. And my whole goal was to rent an office anyway. And I figured out how to do it from this garage because, like, let's say the car sits there 3 days and someone rents it. All right, it's going to cost me $24 to move that car out the garage. Okay, because I was looking at $1,200 to $1,500 a month rent. So if it cost me $600-700 a month to move the cars in and out of the garage, that's a win. So, because one of the things I've done, I should have brought the folders. For each car, I have a folder with the paperwork of buying the car, the insurance, the gas, because they're all run on premium, so I had to gas them up. So I'm keeping track of my cost. And, I feel fortunate enough that I'm in this position where I got the money to get this started. I mean, Well, essentially, the way that this is set up, let me turn it around. The way it is, you can't even see most of the cars unless you just come down here. Like, and we have an HOA, pesky HOA. And the HOA president walked down here and took a picture because he had to come around the curve because you can't really see the cars unless you actually come up in the driveway. So it ain't like you can just see them. You actually have to work to see them. But like I said, I was going to move them anyway because ultimately the goal is to get a building. Like, let me tell you the dream. What I want, and I may have to build to get what I want. I want to, because I've been checking out a lot of car lots that because essentially, here's another issue. Like, matter of fact, I think I can show y'all this. Here's another issue with them being outside. So if I wash these cars, right, it's got pollen all over them, all this bird crap. So I actually like the garage ideal because it's going to keep the cars clean. Because one of the things that I plan on doing is I'm going to put them in the garage. And then when I got to deliver the car, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wash it, detail it, and take it to the customer that way with some smell good in it. And I'm drop it off like that, drop off the key and everything. Because one of the things that I have understood about business, service. So I'm going to hire another person to be a car porter and do other things because essentially I'm going to start advertising. I'm going to start advertising on Craigslist because essentially I already had some people interested. Like all of these cars, this is how I'm selling them, putting them on hire car. If you rent this car from me for a year, 12 consecutive months, I will sell it to you with no credit check. Now, it's going to take some time for that to get out, And also, once I'm able to find my own rental insurance, because it's out there, I just got to find it. I will be able to put these cars like, hey, rent this car for X amount of months, then give me this much, and then you can pay it. Because another test that I'm going to run is if I can get insurance, okay? And I can go out and buy a $2,000 car and rent that for $20 a day. People will jump all over that because that's $600 a month. You can do that working at McDonald's. You know, it'll be a big note because include insurance and stuff. But I go out and spend $40K on $20,000 cars, on $22,000 cars, excuse me, and I make $600 a month. That's $12,000 a month. So in 3 months, those $2,000 cars pay for themselves, and then I can say, "Hey, give me $1,000, and I'll sell this." Little cray. Um, so there's all kind of business models that we're going to deploy. Um, Essentially, once again, I'm going to there is a car wash that's not too far from the garage, and there's a place I can get the car washed. I can get it washed for $22 plus tip, because I'm tracking all this stuff. Because a lot of these folks who come on here talking about making money on Turo, they don't really go into the details. Like, Did you have to buy floor mats? Did you have to recondition? How much money did you spend for gas? How much money did you spend for car wash? Because essentially, I'm not going to be out here washing cars. I got better things to do with my time than to wash cars. Because essentially, to do a proper car wash, you're looking at an hour and a half. And also, this is another reason I like the indoor garage, because more than likely, I'm going to keep the indoor garage concept, because these cars were clean when I got them, and they've had tree stuff drop all of them, birds crapping on them. And if I get in an indoor garage, I'm not going to have that issue. So, uh, so one of the things we're going to do, because depending upon what happens with the experiment for the next 2 months, will Hire Car win or will Toro win? We don't know. So we're going to run these experiments and we're going to see, because essentially, if I can make $5,000 a month, these cars are, let's see, 5 times 6 is 30. We're kind of on the same pathway. We're on the same pathway of it's going to take a year for the pay for that inventory. But once again, once that inventory is paid for and I get my money back, then, I can go ahead and sell those cars as buy here, pay here cars. And I'll be like, hey, BMW, give me $5,000 down. Like, let's say this BMW, I think it cost me 15, right? I have to look at the paperwork. But let's say this BMW makes, because essentially, based upon Turo's calculations, this isn't gospel, but this car can do $1,300 a month. So it does $1,300 a month. It'll pay for itself in a year if it does $1,300 a month. All right. So at that point, I can go ahead and say, hey, I want to sell that at a buy here, pay here lot. But essentially, what it's going to take, because this car will probably be rented for 2 years, to be honest with you, because what I'm seeing is I got to take baby steps to get this whole thing going, because the ultimate goal is to get my dealer's license and to sell cars. I actually had someone make me an offer yesterday. He has a floor plan. He's got $1.2 million worth of credit. He isn't using, and he's like, hey, let's sit down and talk about this and see how we can work this out, because essentially, he's a dealer and he can get an auction. So we're gonna sit down and talk. But I'm gonna still get my dealer's license, and I'm gonna get that because it's real important to have that, because you want to be able to be self-sufficient. And one of the things is what I'm going to do is, because essentially starting this whole thing up is rough. Essentially, I can tell you, Ansley Dawkins, with a 2006 extra car, you're going to have to rent that real cheap unless it's luxury. I'm talking about $20-25 a day. But if that car stayed out the whole month, that's $600 you didn't have. So, so we got a lot to do, a lot of stuff to put in the hopper and test out, and a lot of concepts, because essentially what people don't understand about this business, because like I said, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and there was one guy, he gives some pretty accurate information, I will say that. And a lot of them just like, hey, you can make all this money. They're leaving out important details. They're leaving out important details, especially when you get to multiple cars. And like, I like the garage ideal a lot, because I can wash it and it'll stay clean. If it's still in my driveway, it's gonna be really, really dirty. I mean, I bought that Camry 2 days ago. It needs to be washed. Um, so essentially, what I'm gonna do is Once my assistant get here, we're going to move them all to the garage. And then as I rent them, I'm going to have a window where I can go wash it and fill it up with gas and do whatever I need to do to it before turning it over to the renter, because this is just 8 cars, just 8. And I'm seeing the logistics of all of this because, what I'm going to do is rent the cars out, get the cash flow going. And as they come back, I'm going to have a checklist of things to do to that car. Like, I got to go on eBay and get jacks. I mean, and also the Camry, I got to go to Toyota and get another key. I got to do that. The BMW came with 2 keys. The Range Rover came with 2 keys. All the Range Rovers are push to start, so that's good. And it's interesting. It's interesting because what I kind of feel is going to happen is I'm going to have to move my price point up on the cars because I'm looking at what's selling. Like, there are certain people who are buying that Camry. Like, if I had my dealer's license, I could do that Camry as a buy here, pay here. But, it's a little risky. So I got to develop a schematic. I got to develop a format. And also, let me tell you about the dream. Mac Daddy Autos, it's going to have a building, and it's going to have a huge parking lot. And it may not, because essentially I'm looking at a lot of different moves in the next few months because he sold his house, their house is on the market, they got a hit. So this may be time to sell and move because ultimately, like, I know this is like, if I was living in an apartment complex, I would have tons of parking. There's an apartment complex downtown. I was dating this chick. I could easily park 100 cars up in there. Easy. So that's another option because I may go ahead and rent an apartment complex to use as the rental office. Not even stay there, just use it as an office and have 2 people, no more than 2 people, because I can rent an apartment complex for about $1,700, but I wouldn't be renting it for the apartments. I would be renting it for the parking space. Because let's say this thing takes off and I get up to 50 cars, right? This garage up here will handle that. It will handle that. But, it's going to be where I'm at. Because, like, if I go ahead and get an apartment with an indoor parking garage, that's going to be key because at that point I can get a bunch of cars in there. And this is what I'm thinking about because I'm thinking about the future because I'm looking at the logistical issues I'm having with just 8 cars. I get up to 50 cars. Ideally, I would like to have a building and a fenced in building. But like what may happen is the rental car business may be separate from the car business. Like, let's say in the future, right? I go ahead and rent an apartment with an indoor parking complex, right? So that would be for the rental business. And then I go out and get a rental lot to sell the cars. So, it really, really depends on how this goes. Uh, where she used to live, once again, it's been a while since I lived in an apartment. I used to live in an apartment where we didn't have permits. We didn't have permits. But there wasn't a lot of parking at this apartment complex. So we will see. But like I said, I'm just thinking out loud and thinking about the future, because this garage up here is a public garage. It's a parking garage. And as long as I pay to get in and out, I'm good. So that might actually become a permanent fixture to what I'm doing. It might, because essentially I may have to find public garages that I can put these cars in, or a lot, because essentially, like, I have a lot of trees and stuff, and this is why there's so much pollen and stuff on the cars. All of the nicer apartments that require permits, really, that's messed up, man. So we will see. But like, this is why I like this public parking, because it's a parking lot, and everyone that comes in there has to pay to get in and out. So I'm not really worried about that, because essentially, I I went around driving, and at this office building, they may have texted me. I don't know. They may have texted me. Um, at this apartment complex, well, at this office complex, there's a moving company. So they allow a lot of parking, and I went ahead and reached out to them to see if they had any offices. The leasing manager is never there, and I walked around the building, and I didn't see any empty offices. I didn't see any, so that was like, okay. And like I said, this is why I gotta kind of slow it down and get some of these issues solved, because I see myself having 2 offices in the future, because I'm gonna get this office to get my dealer's license. So we will see. We will see, because essentially I got to work on the check-in, check-out process, and I can hire someone. But first of all, I got to do it to create. Uh, I got to create systems, formats, procedures, and stuff. So, like this thing, I got to set it up where I got to label the keys, because it's like, hey, this key right here is to this car. I got to label the keys. I got to get a second set of keys. I got to get a little manual. I got to get a little check. You know, there's a lot to it. Well, with the custom built shed, that's an interesting concept. But we're gonna be taking this day by day, man, day by day, because essentially there's a lot to do. And like I said, I learned a lot. Like watching Toro videos and hire car videos is vastly different than actually doing Toro and hire car. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing that. So my assistant should be coming any minute. So I'm about to see. Oh, you can still get in the art of holding. You can still get in all this stuff. The link's below. Well, the link will be low. Will be below in a minute once I go in the house and put it in there, because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, and we're going to talk about financing cars, and we're going to talk about paying cash for cars, because a lot of people are going out and financing the car. But here's the thing: once you get the 5 cars, you can't. It's going to be hard for you to finance any more cars if you can get to 5. If you can get to 5, so it's going to be interesting. All right, that's all I got for you guys. The links and stuff will be below in a few minutes, and I will see you in the next one.